Today, we are diving into the story of Crispus Attucks High School in Indianapolis. And really, it's a story that's just full of the most profound paradoxes. We're talking about a school that was literally born from a policy of racial division, but somehow it became this absolute powerhouse of excellence and unity. So let's get into it and see how that actually happened.
I mean, this is the question that everything else hangs on, right? How does a place, an institution that was specifically designed to oppress people, to hold them back, accidentally become a launchpad for Black achievement that would go on to change an entire city? It's a wild story. Okay, so to really get Crispus Attucks, you have to picture Indianapolis back in the 1920s. And this wasn't some subtle thing happening in the background. No, this was a loud, aggressive, politically driven campaign to force racial separation in the city's schools.
Let's not mince words here. This high school wasn't built because the city needed more space for students. It was built for one single, solitary reason: to pull all the Black students out of the city's other integrated high schools and put them all in one building by themselves. That's it.
And this didn't just happen overnight. It was methodical. You can see it right here. In 1922, the school board makes the vote. The Black community, of course, fights back hard in the courts, but they lose. And then, in 1925, and this is a huge piece of the puzzle, the Ku Klux Klan gets a stranglehold on city government, and that pretty much seals the deal. So by 1927, every single Black high school kid in Indianapolis, even seniors who were just about to graduate, they were all forced to transfer to Attucks.
So the city builds this monument to segregation, but then something happens that is so incredible, something the segregationists absolutely never saw coming. Their own system, the one they designed to suppress people, completely backfires and accidentally creates one of the most brilliant high schools in the entire country.
And it all comes down to this really twisted side effect of systemic racism. See, at the time, you had all these brilliant Black scholars, people with master's degrees and PhDs from top-tier universities, who were flat-out barred from teaching at white colleges or high schools. So where could they go? Well, in Indianapolis, Crispus Attucks was suddenly the only option. And get this, by 1934, the faculty at Attucks held 19 master's degrees and 2 PhDs. Think about that. That kind of academic firepower was basically unheard of for any high school faculty at the time, Black or white. This wasn't just a group of teachers, it was a bona fide brain trust. The kids at Attucks were being taught by scholars who, in a fair world, would have been world-renowned university professors.
And because of that incredible staff, Attucks became way more than just a school. It became the beating heart of Black culture and intellectual life in the city. Can you imagine being a student there? You'd have future Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall walking the halls or the poet Langston Hughes giving a reading. It was a place where Black excellence was everywhere, a true safe haven. Okay, so you have this academic powerhouse. But now we're going to talk about the thing that launched the Attucks story into the stratosphere and put it on the front page for the whole state to see: the basketball court. Now you got to understand, for the first 15 years the school existed, the Crispus Attucks Tigers weren't even allowed to compete for a state championship. The main athletic association, the IHSAA, banned them. They had to travel all over, sometimes even out of state, just to find other Black schools to play against. But finally, that ban was lifted in 1942.
And once they were allowed in, they didn't just compete, they took over. Under their legendary coach Ray Crow, and led by a young superstar you might have heard of named Oscar Robertson, the 1955 team made history. They became the first all-Black team in the entire United States to win a state title. And then they did it again in '56 with a perfect season, and then won a third time in '59. It was a dynasty.
You know, this quote from Oscar Robertson just says it all. This was never just about a basketball game. For a community that had been told no over and over again, these wins were a powerful source of pride, a symbol that anything was possible. The team's victory felt like everyone's victory.
And here is the ultimate mind-blowing irony. The same city that had built Crispus Attucks to keep Black students separate was now throwing a massive parade for that very team right in the center of downtown. For that moment, they weren't just some other team, they were Indianapolis's team.
So these massive victories, especially on the basketball court, they really helped push for change. But when desegregation finally arrived, its effect on Crispus Attucks was, well, it was really complicated. And for many, it was incredibly painful.
Look, on one hand, integration was obviously a massive and necessary victory for civil rights. No question. But for the Attucks community itself, it was also a devastating loss.
That unbelievable faculty, all those PhDs and brilliant minds, they were scattered across the city to other schools. The safe haven, that unique cultural hub they had built, it was dismantled.
And then things got even harder. In the 60s and 70s, the city started these huge urban renewal projects. They literally built the I-65/I-70 highway interchange right through the neighborhoods where Attucks families lived. Their homes were bulldozed, people were forced to move out. And not surprisingly, the school's enrollment just plummeted.
So for a few decades there, things looked pretty bleak. The school was really struggling. But if this story has taught us anything, it's that Crispus Attucks is defined by its resilience. It found a way to reinvent itself and rise from the ashes.
It was a long journey. The school was turned into a junior high, then a middle school. A lot of people thought its days as a high school were over for good. But then, in 2006, it was reborn with a totally new mission, and it's even evolving again in 2025.
The school's leaders made an absolutely brilliant move. They looked at their location, right next door to the Indiana University Medical Campus, and they turned Attucks into a specialized magnet school for health and computer sciences. They transformed their location into their biggest strength. And what's so cool is that while they're focused on the future, they are fiercely protective of their past. The building itself is a National Historic Landmark. There's a museum right there on site telling this incredible story. And in just a beautiful echo of the past, the Tigers won another state basketball championship in 2017. How great is that?
So we end up right back where we started, with this powerful paradox. The story of Crispus Attucks proves that the legacy of a place isn't decided by the ugly intentions of the people who built it. It's forged by the brilliance, the spirit, and the absolute resilience of the people who walk its halls. A building designed to put a ceiling on potential became a place that proved potential is limitless.